All right. Good afternoon. I call to order the Lake Havasu Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Board meeting on Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 at 2 p.m. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we'll now have the roll call by Ms. Lodrewski.
Thank you. Cal Sheehy.
Here.
Buster Johnson. Nancy Campbell.
Here.
Gary Knight.
Present.
Jenny Koch. Back to you.
All right, thank you. So we don't have a quorum this afternoon, but we only have one action item, which is the approval of our minutes. So when we get to that item, we'll just table that till our next meeting and handle them both at the same time. Item 4 on our agenda is the call to the public. This is an opportunity for citizens wishing to address the executive board on matters within the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Planning Organization planning area. And comments should be limited to 5 minutes. Seeing that we have no members of the public, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public. Item 5 is our meeting minutes approval, and as I just mentioned, we will table that until our next meeting. So item 6 is the Lake Havasu Metropolitan Planning Organization's Director Report. Mr. Hembry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just informational only. I wanted to provide an update on a few of the action items from the last board meeting and some of the projects that we've had ongoing the last several months. The first one was for the traffic counter purchase. As you recall, we wanted to purchase some traffic counters to help continue the HPMS program. As you know, the state and the feds require the local agencies to collect traffic volume data on their functionally classified roads. Long story short, we spent roughly $25,000 on the MPO side. We got 15 of the MH Corbin Blue Star plate counters and 1 additional user license. So that has been purchased. We have got the units. They are at the hands of the city staff. So just wanted to follow up on that. The other project was for the SR 95 Lake Havasu Avenue, the signal enhancement project. You guys approved the FDS contract for field data services to come in and collect traffic volume data, speed data, anything that would help coordinate the signals once they're enhanced on SR 95 and Lake Havasu Avenue. Just an update, the contract has been signed and finalized. We expect FDS to be in the region sometime late October. We're expecting maybe the 28th as a potential Friday that they'll come into town. They'll put their units out, and I've asked that they specifically let us know exactly when they come to town because the boxes that they put out are camera technology, and I don't want the city to get calls of, what are you doing? What is this technology? Or even the field technicians at the city side saying, why is someone's gear locked and chained to one of our signs or one of our signals? Usually they're pretty much out of the way, but just in case they're not, I want to make sure that we have that communication with city. So again, we're looking at the 28th, but when we have that date finalized, I'll reach out to city staff. And then we expect to have the traffic data report and the data sometime early November. Now, continuing with that project, the city staff is currently working on finalizing the scope and the schedule for the project, working with ADOT project management staff. And we expect, give or take, project initiation and IGA probably within the next four to 6 months on that. Sometimes the IGAs can take a little bit longer. So again, it's kind of a rough estimate, 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 months is what we expect. Moving on to HSIP projects, current HSIP projects. So as you'll recall, the McCulloch and Jamaica Signal Project, we were lucky enough and the stars aligned and rainbows came out. ADOT was very gracious and moved that $1 million from the Acoma Swanson Signal safety funds over to the McCulloch Jamaica intersection. Again, we're working with project management. City staff is working with project management on the ADOT side, and we expect the IGA sometime probably late December, early January. So once that IGA is in hand, I will absolutely do a happy dance. So it's in writing. As far as future HSIP, if you'll recall, we had the FY 25-26 call for HSIP applications for future years down the road for safety projects. The MPO, along with ADOT, submitted 5 projects total. For the state system, it was State Route 95. There was raised median, roughly 4 miles. That was the one application. For Lake Havasu, it was the Swanson Avenue intersections on Winglope and Mariposa, and also the systemic feedback signs on the major routes. Those are the 2 applications for the city. The MPO actually put in an application as well to do a traffic signalized warrant study at unsignalized intersections throughout the town. If we were awarded those funds, we would hire a consultant. They would come in and collect all that similar data to what we talked about before, traffic volumes, all the various technical aspects and engineering analysis, and give us a report of which intersections we should move forward to try to secure funds for signals and which signals just don't meet those warrants yet. And then the last one was for Mojave County, the Horizon 6 area, to widen some of those shoulders out there within a couple feet to make it a little bit safer and wider. Again, these are just 5 applications. They were submitted as of September 19th to ADOT. We expect probably by the end of the month, ADOT staff will reach out, traffic safety section. They basically give an announcement of a review panel. Most planners and COG directors meet, we convene, there's a review panel, they rank the projects, and then the finalized projects, they then announce those awards or those eligibility letters. So the last 5 years I've been part of that panel. It's a very good in-depth process, so we expect to hear probably in the next month or so, they'll set a date for that panel, and I'll update the board on how that goes. And as soon as we get the eligibility letters, whether our applications were awarded or not, you'll be the first to know. And then the last but not least would be the State Transportation Board dinner. We've got RSVP'd for most. So far we have 19 that have confirmed, but I expect a few more the day of. So it looks like we're going to hit a strong mark of 20. Again, that was Thursday, October 20th. The reception is at 6 p.m., the dinner at 6:30. This is at Sugaroo's Restaurant, and our sponsor is Sunt. Believe it or not, just a quick story, Ms. Campbell and I were hanging out at the Rural Transportation Summit, just having the discussion of what should we do for the state board dinner, and Ryan Cannon with Sunt was within earshot, and he approached us afterward and said Sunt was very interested in hosting and sponsoring the dinner. And fun fact is they actually constructed the original London Bridge. So it just kind of felt fitting that they wanted to sponsor the dinner. So again, if you haven't RSVP'd, please do so by this Friday, but I believe all of the MPO board and city council has responded at this point. And with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Hembry from any members of the board?
I just want to parlay on the meeting that Summer Ray's Wine Bar here in town is donating a bunch of gift baskets for the event as well. So it should be really nice.
Yeah, great. Very nice. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hembry. We'll move on to item 7, which is the Rural Transportation Advocacy Council report. Mr. Adam?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everybody. And I think the 2 big issues that we are looking at right now that are really going to impact the next legislative session is one, obviously, the November election. But unless you've been following it closely, which I imagine many of you have, you may not realize just the level of changeover that's going to occur in November. We could have as many as 30, and in fact, we're essentially guaranteed, I believe it's about 26 of the 90 legislators will be brand new. That number could get as high as 30. There are a few competitive districts out there, but we could have close to or over a third of the body completely change. In addition, we know for sure we're going to see adjustments in leadership as well. There'll be a new speaker, a new Senate president. We'll have 2 new transportation committee chairs, and at least one of the appropriations chairs will be brand new. As well as the governor as well. And so after 8 years of the Ducey administration, that could bring in a tremendous amount of change, not only as far as the legislative agenda is concerned, but also the direction and priorities of ADOT as well. And so, and haven't even brought up the fact that there's the potential for changes in partisan control when it comes to all 3, the governor as well as the House and Senate. So a lot of changes on the horizon, and that will obviously have a big impact on the challenges and opportunities that infrastructure have for next year. The other big issue is the revenue situation. and this is not going to continue forever. There were some very unique circumstances related to all of the responses to COVID that have created revenue windfalls. We had that last year. And if you look at the revenue numbers now, as well as the current collections, the economy, or at least the revenue collections in all of the major funding categories for the state, are continuing to show substantial levels of growth. And it's highly anticipated that they'll have a carry forward balance to work with of over $4 billion this year. And, and to put that in the context, the state has never had a billion. So $4 billion. And so that's a tremendous amount to work with. We'll obviously need to see who's elected, and in particular, who's in leadership. But we do know that in general, based on last year, there's a good chance that we'll be able to redirect a lot of that surplus revenue to the infrastructure once again. So we're very hopeful for that. I think we made a great had a great job making the case for infrastructure investment at the Rural Transportation Summit. We had 15 legislators participate in that event. And I know that board member Knight spoke on behalf of the Yuma MPO and the justification and the importance of making improvements to 95 down in the Yuma area. And then Councilmember Campbell, also want to send my appreciation to her. She spoke on Smoke Tree and the current conditions of the pavement, not only the street but the curb and the sidewalks, and the dangers that poses to both motorists as well as pedestrians and bicyclists. So I think the board did a terrific job of articulating the needs that are out there and the impacts if these improvements aren't done. And so we're anxiously awaiting to see what happens in November and what the opportunities are. But we'll certainly be making the case for further infrastructure investment. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Are there any questions from members of the board for Mr. Adam? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8 is our ADOT district report. Mr. Steinberger.
Good afternoon, everybody. Real quick, we've got the pavement preservation project on SR 95. We're getting ready to advertise that at the end of this year. It's going to be doing the crossroads and the ADA improvements through the city with the mill and fill, 3-inch mill and fill, all the way up to I-40. That's what we're anticipating. Also coordinating with the city and the MPO on the signal coordination. That's going to be an encroachment permit through the ADOT, and the city's going to be the permit owner for that one. Also, we're going to be looking at doing some culvert and maintenance repairs along the SR 95 corridor over this winter, weather permitting. That's just kind of the brief update I have right now. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Steinberger from any members of the board? No, I would like to thank you for getting the sweepers out after our last MPO board meeting. And we had mentioned that on SR 95, and you had them out the next couple of days. So thank you for that.
You appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to item 9, which is the Arizona Transportation Board report. Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have too much to report. The last Transportation Board meeting was on the 16th of September. We did establish a new project on US 93. This is for the second quarter of fiscal year 24 for $180,000. It's pavement preservation. The board passed that. That was the only item on the agenda for Mojave County. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to. And of course we have, as you well know, we'll be there for our meeting on October 21st, and we appreciate the invitation that was extended for the dinner and reception for Thursday, and I will be there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Are there any questions from any members of the board for Mr. Knight? All right. Well, we'll see you in person in the next week or so up here in our area.
You bet.
Okay. Perfect. We do now have a quorum, so we're going to go backwards to item 5, which is the meeting minutes from August 9th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve those?
Mayor, motion.
Please.
I motion to approve the executive board meetings minutes of August 9th, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilmember Campbell and a second from Supervisor Johnson. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. All right. Item 10 is future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items for any members of the board? All right. Seeing none, our upcoming meetings is, as Mr. Hembury and Mr. Knight had mentioned, the State Transportation Board Dinner will be on October 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And then followed the next morning on October 21st, 2022 with the State Transportation Board meeting. The next Lake Havasu Metropolitan Planning Organization TAC meeting will be on November 15th, 2022 at 1:30. And the next meeting of the Executive Board, this board will be on December 12th, 2022 at 2 p.m. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. We are adjourned.